Here's a number that should annoy you a little. Two people, same income, same amount, invested every single month, same 7% return. One of them retires with $725,000. The other retires with $339,000. Not because one of them picked better stocks, not because one of them got lucky. The entire difference, nearly $400,000, came down to something so small. Most people don't even notice they're doing it wrong. It's not what you invest in. It's the order you do things in. Meet Jordan and Casey. Same job, same starting salary, same $350 a month. They're both willing to invest. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly where their paths split and exactly which one of them you are right now. Quick question. What do you think destroys more wealth over a lifetime, picking a bad investment or waiting too long to start? Most people assume it's the bad investment. It's not. It's the waiting. Here's why. Say you invest $100 and it grows 10% in year one. Now it's $110. In year two, that same 10% return doesn't just apply to your original $100. It applies to the full $110. So you end up with $121, even if you never added another dollar. Stretch that pattern out over decades, and the snowball becomes enormous, because now your gains are earning gains, which are earning more gains. Jordan starts investing at 27. Casey isn't ready yet. She wants to read a few more books, watch a few more videos, feel sure before she starts. We've all met a Casey. Some of us are Casey. She finally begins at 37, 10 years later, investing the exact same $350 a month. By 65, Jordan has put in $159,600 of her own money and ends up with roughly $725,000. Casey put in $117,600, not that much less, and ends up with roughly $339,000. Look closely at those contribution numbers. Jordan only invested about $42,000 more than Casey over her lifetime, but she ends up with $386,000 more. That gap isn't from Jordan being smarter, richer, or luckier. It's 10 extra years of her money compounding before Casey's money even entered the game. Casey didn't make a bad decision. She just made a slow one. And slow, it turns out, is expensive. Before either of them invested a dollar, though, they both did something that has nothing to do with picking stocks and everything to do with being able to sleep at night. Think of it like a runway for a plane. Without enough runway, a plane can't safely take off. It doesn't have room to build speed. Your investments work the same way. Without a cash cushion sitting underneath them, they don't have room to do their job. This cushion is your emergency fund, generally 3 to 6 months of living expenses, sitting somewhere boring, like a high-yield savings account. Jordan, with a stable job, kept hers on the leaner end. Casey, freelancing on the side, built a bigger one, and it's a good thing she did, because 18 months in, her car transmission gave out, right in the middle of a rough month for the market. Here's the part most people miss. This isn't just about money. It's about your ability to think clearly under stress. Financial stress eats up mental bandwidth. It makes it genuinely harder to make good decisions. Casey had that emergency fund, so instead of pulling money out of her investments at the worst possible time, she paid for the repair in cash and let her portfolio ride out the dip untouched. Without that runway, she'd have locked in a loss just to fix a transmission. That's the real job of an emergency fund, not just paying bills, but protecting you from yourself. Once the runway was built, both of them ran into the single best return either of them would ever find anywhere in finance, and it had nothing to do with the stock market. Jordan's company offered a 401k match up to 5% of salary. She contributed her 5%. Just like that, her money doubled instantly, before a single dollar had spent one day in the market. There is nothing else in investing that hands you a guaranteed 100% return before your money even starts working. Casey's company matched too, but for her first 2 years, she skipped it. She figured she'd deal with retirement stuff later. Later cost her 2 years of unclaimed match, at her salary, was money that simply vanished. No clawback, no do-over. It's not a loss you feel immediately, which is exactly why it's so easy to ignore. The rule here is simple. Contribute at least enough to capture your full employer match. Anything less, and you're leaving free money on the table, permanently, with no way to go back and collect it. Here's where Jordan quietly pulled ahead of almost everyone she knew, not by picking better investments, but by picking a better box to put them in. The IRS has built accounts specifically designed to shelter your investment gains from tax. A Roth IRA lets your money grow completely tax-free. You pay tax on the money going in, then never again. A traditional IRA works the other way, a deduction now, tax later, on withdrawal. Jordan, expecting to earn more later in her career than she does now, leaned Roth. Casey, further along and in a higher bracket, leaned traditional. Same tool, opposite reasons, both correct, for their own situation. For 2026, the IRA contribution limit sits at $7,500 a year, or $8,600 if you're 50 or older. It's not a huge number on its own, but stacked on top of the 401 kick, it becomes one more bucket growing untouched by the IRS. Two people can hold the exact same investment, earn the exact same return, and still end up with wildly different spendable money purely because one of them let the growth get taxed every year in a plain account, and the other one didn't. Here's the step that Jordan almost missed entirely, because nobody had ever mentioned it to her. A health savings account, or HSA, might be the single most underrated account in the entire tax code. It comes with a genuine triple tax advantage. Contributions are deductible going in, growth is tax-free, and withdrawals are tax-free too, as long as they're used for qualified medical expenses. Unlike a flexible spending account, an HSA rolls over year after year. Jordan now treats hers as a quiet second retirement account, letting it grow for decades and only tapping it for healthcare costs later in life. Casey, meanwhile, opened a 529 plan the year her daughter was born. Contributions grow tax-free, and withdrawals stay tax-free, as long as they go toward qualified education costs. Her state even gives her a small tax deduction on contributions in the year she makes them. Neither of these accounts got mentioned in the standard "here's how to invest" conversation either of them had originally heard. That's exactly the point the government is willing to pay you, through tax breaks, to save toward healthcare and education. Almost nobody goes looking for these, and it quietly costs them thousands in benefits they never claimed. By the time Jordan and Casey had both built their runway, claimed their full match, maxed their IRAs, and used the specialist accounts that fit their lives, they still had money left over. That's where a standard brokerage account comes in. This account doesn't come with the tax shelter of everything before it. Dividends, interest, and capital gains are all taxable. But it offers something the earlier accounts don't: complete flexibility. No contribution limits, no restrictions on when you touch it, no rules tied to retirement age. It's simply you, your money, and whatever index funds or stocks you choose. This is exactly why it comes last, not first. It's not a bad account. It's just the least tax-efficient one available, so both Jordan and Casey filled every advantaged bucket before this one ever entered the picture. Same income, same monthly amount, same return. The only thing separating Jordan's $725,000 from Casey's $339,000 was the order and the timing of a handful of decisions starting sooner, claiming the free money, choosing the right box for their savings. Build the runway so you can stay invested through the hard years. Grab the match sitting in your 401 KEC. Shelter your growth before the IRS ever touches it. Hunt down the HSA and 529 benefits nobody talks about. And only then, once every advantage is claimed, let the long game in a brokerage account do the rest. The order matters more than the amount. Jordan didn't have a better plan than Casey. She just started running hers 10 years sooner.